speech department. I don't want to fully paperless legislate.
Chair, if you want to stay at time, I'm reading illness tonight, so if you could just give me the same time as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm not there. This is my favorite.
You target you targeted my friend to leave.
Oh, Belinda Scott. No. You can never call me racist when I was fighting with Belinda.
No,
Oh, no.
I thought you were anti-white. May we settle down, honorable members and colleagues. We want to indicate that we are starting vote number 13 debate, which is the Department of Social Development in KwaZulu-Natal. But because I don't know whether we all prayed today, would want to ask the honorable members to know that before we start this engagement, we must observe the moment of silence. Thank you very much, honorable members and media, as well as our friends in the public who voted for us. Honorable members, this is a budget debate of the legislature of KwaZulu-Natal that we are conducting through virtual means. You are reminded that this budget debate of vote number 13 will be conducted in terms of the rules for virtual meetings, which is applicable to all virtual meetings as we are having this pandemic, and we read it in conjunction with the standing rules of the legislature. So I want to indicate that the virtual meetings define the present members as people who are connected by electronic means. This is what we are going to determine the quorum. Our standing rules further provide that a majority of the members of a committee constitute a quorum. The table staff with whom I'm working have confirmed to me that we have got the required number of honorable members present in order to commence with this session. The meeting is therefore properly constituted and may continue in terms of our rules. Members, before we proceed with this vote 13 budget debate, I must reiterate the ruling of the Honorable Speaker relating to addressing connectivity problems. The Speaker has ruled that the following measures will be adopted to try and assist members who may not be able to participate due to connectivity issues. Firstly, if a member has connectivity problems, the presiding officer will continue with the other speakers on the speakers list for the debate. If the members regain connectivity before the response to the debate by the member of the executive, the presiding officer will be flexible to allow the speakers to continue with their disrupted debate. Secondly, we also ask members who are debating to allocate a fellow party member who will be able to take over the member speech and read the member's speech into the record. Presiding officers will then allow the fellow party member to take over the speech. If all else fails and an honorable member is unable to present his or her speech or to get another party member to take over, it is directed that the honorable member may submit his or her speech to the Secretary of the Legislature, and the speech will be included in the record of the debate. If a member does have connectivity problems, we will follow the above guidance to try and assist the honorable member. I hope that this is in order, honorable members. Members not debating are reminded at all times to mute their microphones and switch off their cameras. Also, honorable members are requested to take care of any noise in the background that interferes with the broadcast of proceeding. Honorable members, we confirm that we are now having the budget speech of the Department of Social Development, which is vote number 13. We will now proceed with the matters on the agenda, being the debate on vote number 13. So at this point, I would invite the honorable member who is the MEC for Social Development in KwaZulu-Natal to present her budget speech. Yes, Honorable N.M. Khoza. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to the Honorable Premier, the Honorable members of the Executive Council, Honorable members of the Provincial Legislature led by the Speaker, Honorable Boyce, Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, Umama Unonzwakazi Sorbo Ntombela, to yourself, Honorable Chairperson, to the distinguished guests, even those who are connected virtually, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Chair, this work is not for yourselves. Kill that spirit of self and do not live above your people, but live with them. And if you can rise, bring someone with you. These were the words uttered by our struggle icon, Umamu Charlotte Maxeke, many decades ago. I felt it important to revisit these words as we tabled the Department of Social Development 2021-2022 budget vote, as this year marks the 150 years since she was born. Mama Charlotte Maxeke taught us to bring some people with us. We want to take it a step further and ensure that no one is left behind. It is for this reason that this budget vote is being tabled under the theme, Leaving No One Behind. In our quest for leaving no one behind, we have placed emphasis on programs that will help address the plight of vulnerable groups, which include the people with disabilities, women, senior citizens, youth, children, and LGBTIQ. Honorable Chair, we are currently battling many challenges, but I believe that we will rise above and above those with, when we do rise, we would like to leave no one behind. We want to leave no one behind as we ensure that our children, women, and the elderly are provided with psychosocial support as we are battling horrendous cases of gender-based violence and femicide. We present this budget in the middle of the COVID-19, Honorable Chairperson, which was first reported in South Africa just over a year ago. The numbers may be down for now, but the devastation and the threat of resurgence are ever present. Honorable Chair, the department launched Operation Sigalelekile with the intention to speed up service delivery to our communities. The aim is to address service delivery lapses which has been exposed by the lockdown. Operation Sigalelekile is where various departments like Home Affairs Department, Health, SASSA, NDA, SAPS, ETIA, and agriculture. It's where we bring our services under one basket and bring it closer to people. We want just to cut those long processes shorter. While on a path to improve service delivery, Chair, we are proud to announce that we will be soon opening our refurbished eThekwini cluster offices, ebezaziwa previously ngokuthi i-government garage, and that will save a lot of public funds which have been used for rentals since 2002. Equally, the construction of KwaMashu Service Center is nearing completion, and soon we will invite honorable members to witness the official opening of the state-of-the-art facility in the middle of the township. The Mondlo and Osizweni Service Centers have been completed and will also be opening very soon. During the month of June, which is Youth Month, we will also be opening new youth centers in Reinkonyen, Wentworth, and Endumo, which will provide social behavioral change and vocational skills program. In partnership with TVET Colleges, NDA, Small Enterprise Development Agency, and other government departments. In this financial year, we will be handing over a number of completed early childhood development centers. Honorable Chair, we are happy to inform the House that following the call for investigations by the Honorable Premier on COVID-19 procurement irregularities, all recommendations were implemented and speedily so, and the disciplinary process against implicated officials are underway. In addition, the Special Investigation Unit, the SIU, is on board, and the Special Tribunal has since ruled that the implicated companies should return public money they earned through unscrupulous means. Honorable Chair, we all know that corruption has disproportionate impact on the poor and most vulnerable as it limits access to services. Honorable Chair, as you know, our budget has had to be revised twice in order to accommodate changes that have been necessitated by COVID-19 pandemic. We will revert to this later in the speech. The speech encapsulates that activities of the department and to a certain extent, the entire government in bringing about a better life to the people. As a result, we are working with 3,780 NPOs providing funding to the tune of 1.163 billion, which is a 1/3 of our budget as DSD. Under social welfare services, sub-program services to older persons, which is allocated 189.7 million. In February 2020, the MEC engaged in dialogues with the community of KwaSwaimane under Umshwati municipality. And some of the concerns that were raised included the rising incidents of rape and constant abuse of older persons. In responding to some of the proposals that were made by the community of KwaSwaimane Daycare Center, we will now serve, we have just responded. And KwaSwaimane will serve as a daycare center as well as a residential facility. This means in totality, older persons will now receive 24-hour care in old age homes across the province. In addition, the department is working on the policy on utilization of social grants at residential facilities for older persons. And this policy is aimed at regularizing the rate that is charged by residential facilities taken from their old age grants. Honorable Chairperson, under the sub-program services to persons with disabilities, which is budgeted 156.1 million. Previously, we stood before this august house and committed our department to address the needs of persons with disabilities and to ensure their employment across government departments. We have not changed our convictions in ensuring a better life for all. As we continue with our quest to change the lives of persons with disabilities, it is because we do not want to leave anyone behind. When our Honorable Premier delivered the State of the Province address, he instructed us to quicken the tempo to economic recovery and job creation. Hence, we are now turbocharged in delivering services in our communities and ensure that we will not be left behind. To this end, our department has been able to employ at least 2.4% of persons with disabilities in different units within the administration. It is for this reason that we announced the appointment of the Director for Older Persons and Persons with Disabilities, who has a disability himself. This is in addition to the existing number of persons with disability at senior management level, and is a huge step in ensuring that people with disabilities are not left behind. In partnership with the National Department of Social Development and MTN, we have handed over a multimedia center to Vumani Sabelo Special School in Osizweni, Emajuba. The school also received Memeza personal alarms to be used when there is a threat of crime, including threats of gender-based violence. 22 computers with specialized software for persons with disabilities were also handed over. Furthermore, we have ensured that the learners with disabilities and educators at Vumani Sabelo Special School also receive training on basic computer skills for these new high-tech computers. In our quest for leaving no one behind, we have seen other countries and the private sector coming forward with help, as the United Arab Emirates aided by donating kitchen equipment and sewing machines to Mount Karim Women's Cooperative in Herikwala. Honorable Chair, under HIV and AIDS, which is allocated 207.7 million, we remain relentless in stemming the tide of the HIV and AIDS epidemic through our participation in the KwaZulu-Natal Provincial AIDS Council, a multi-sectoral body comprising government, civil society, and private sector. We have been part of the multi-sectoral commemoration of the World AIDS Day in our province. HIV infection remains relatively high among the youth. We remain persuaded that social and social behavioral change programs play a significant role in HIV prevention. To this end, we have continued to implement social and behavioral change programs, although on limited scale due to COVID-19 restrictions. In partnership with the United States Agency for International Development through the US President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, a learning event was held in Durban to evaluate the implementation of government capacity building and support program. During the 2020-2021 financial year, the CHOMI program, targeting adolescent age from age 10 to 14 years, was launched at Inanda Kati Traditional Council. The Men's Championing Change program was launched in Bergville and Charlestown, with the aim of sensitizing men and boys about the effects of HIV and gender-based violence at community level. In 2021-2022, these programs will be rolled out to other provinces. Through our partnership, Honorable Chairperson, with funded NPOs, we have been able to create 1,897 employment opportunities through HCBC, community care centers, CCC, and social behavioral change programs. We are also making a contribution towards job creation through the expanded public works, benefiting 1,959 community caregivers and 167 community caregivers supervisors. In addition, we have employed 1,127 child and youth care workers to provide care support to vulnerable groups. Under social relief of distress, which is allocated 18.7 million, extending SRD to those who were severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, expose some capacity challenges among our service delivery partners. In mitigating such challenges, a hybrid model, which included voucher system, was introduced. Due to the high demand, Chairperson, for food relief as a result of the impact of COVID-19, we had to approach Provincial Treasury for more funding to augment the 17 million allocated initially. A total of 137.195 SRD vouchers were distributed from the 31st of March 2021. And we are pleased to announce before you, Chairperson, that we have just utilized all the extra budget of 170,313 allocated to us. Under program 3, Chairperson, care and support is allocated 16.1 million. We remain steadfast in our conviction that the well-being of the family is the critical importance to the overall function of society. As a department, we commemorate the International Day of Families every month of May. Due to the hard lockdown in 2020, the commemoration was held on social media platforms with wide audiences in Facebook and Twitter. We have partnered with faith-based organizations to commemorate the day. Just last weekend, Honorable Chair, we commemorated the International Day for Families in Umzimkhulu to highlight the importance of families as basic unit of our society. The National Marriage Week was commemorated in September 2020, reaching 1,595 couples to create awareness to nurturing and celebration of marriages. As part of contributing towards the implementation of provincial social cohesion and moral generation strategy, the Boys Development Program will receive special attention. Part of the activities that are in the pipeline includes the Boys Assembly, which will take place to all districts. In the 2020-2021 financial year, the Men Championing Change program was introduced in Zululand and King Cetshwayo, reaching 2,277 men and boys. Under Child Care and Protection Services, Honorable Chair, which is allocated 419.6 million, during the 2020-2021 financial year, the department managed a total of 1,550 reported child abuse cases in line with the protocol for the management of child neglect and exploitation. In order to strengthen protection of children, the department was able to coordinate and facilitate clearance of 250 staff working directly with children in terms of the National Child Abuse Register. Under the ECD and partial care, which is allocated 693.1 million, in the past financial year, the department provided access to early childhood development services to 128,513 children through the implementation of the center and the non-center-based programs. Furthermore, the department was able to subsidize 122,860 children in order to ensure provisioning of nutritious food with the ECD centers and procurement of educational and stimulation material and equipment for children, as well as provision of stipends to ECD practitioners. In our endeavor to deliver on our goal, Chair, of ensuring universal access to ECD by 2030, including compulsory 2 years of preschool before grade R for every child, the mobile ECD program is being implemented, especially at Ilembe. It was rolled out to Umkhanyakude on the 20th of April 2021. The program will be rolled out further, Chairperson, to Ugu within Umdoni and Mzwabantu local municipalities. The movement of the ECD function to the Department of Education has been deferred to the 2022-2023 financial years. We will also sustain efforts to ensure smooth transition of the ECD function, joining forces with various partners in the ECD sector to increase access to ECD services through the implementation of both center-based and non-center-based program. Under Child and Youth Care Centers support, we have allocated 287.3 million. In the current financial year, Honorable Chair, we rendered residential programs within 3,424 children who were designated in child and youth care centers by various children's courts through subsidizing 64 child and youth care centers managed by NPOs and managed by the state as well. Under community-based care and support services for children, which is allocated 113.038 million, orphaned and vulnerable children and youth remain part of the department's primary clientele. Furthermore, we are strengthening integrated services, provisioning in partnership with relevant stakeholders in respect of children living and working in the streets, which is very much important. The department will also continue to provide financial and management support to 64 NPOs managed by the CYCCs. Honorable Chair, we are happy to announce that this financial year we celebrated excellence by the class of 2020, which was made up of the children who are residents of the CYCCs and alternative care, who achieved excellence in matric. Over the years, these children progressed to institutions of higher learning across the globe, pursuing degrees in scarce professionals such as actuarial sciences, medicine, engineering, and accounting, among others. Just to mention a few, Ubongmenzi Magnificent Mchunu from KwaMaphumulo has been admitted to Wits University to study chemical engineering. Uhaili Singh from Chatsworth has been accepted to the University of KwaZulu-Natal to pursue a degree in pharmacy. Usthembile Mugeliwe Mgobos from Ndwedwe has been accepted to the University of KwaZulu-Natal to study medicine. Uyandiswa Mkhize from Klazuga, Lephansi, in Richmond, has been accepted to the Nelson Mandela University of Medical School to study in medicine. We also have success stories where some of the beneficiaries, Honorable Chair, are now fully employed and are able to take care of themselves. One of them, who is proud, is Mr. Tamsanga Buteles, who came forward as one who came from our CYCC as an abandoned child. Uthi Ubongmusa wafika egoqwe ngeblanket eblue kuphela kubhalwe abandoned, but today he is an employee of our department after having to study very hard. Most of the children from the foster care program and the child support grants are in need of financial support for their tertiary education. As a caring government, we offer social protection to these young people. We are, who are our future leaders. We also offer an aftercare programs. Siyafuna ukubabona ukuthi impilo zabo zinjani baphelelaphi. Under crime prevention and support, which is allocated 148.1 million, social crime continues to persist. In response to this, the department will implement the integrated social crime prevention awareness program in all districts. The implementation of the anti-gang strategy will be intensified in Amajuba district following incidents of gang-related violence in their area, particularly Osizweni. Bazibiza ke ama last warning labantwana. In the past financial year, Umthwalume and Umzumbe local municipalities became epicenter of femicide cases. As a response, the Honorable Premier left no one behind in a campaign to mobilize communities against femicide. We have since partnered with Santaco, faith-based organization, traditional healers, and traditional leaders and political leaders in rolling out education and awareness campaigns. Under Victim Empowerment Program, which is allocated 87.2 million, the department continued to lead multi-sectoral efforts to fight against gender-based violence and femicide. We established partnership with Santaco, Umzansi Youth in Business, to address the scourge of gender-based violence. This partnership saw the Honorable Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Ubaba Usihle Uzikalala, and the MEC launching an anti-gender-based violence campaign, Mchepeni, Enanda, which is a hotspot area. This program has been rolled out to other districts such as Ugu, Herigwala, Umgungundlovu, and various areas of eThekwini. We also collaborated with Vodacom to strengthen the functioning of the department, of the departmental gender-based violence call center. Let me also use this opportunity, Honorable Chairperson, to inform this august House about the partnership between BMW, was South Africa, government and civil society organization. Through this partnership with BMW, we have just handed over a smallanyana BMW, which will be able to assist Umzamo NPO, which is dealing with gender-based violence. This was the initiative from himself, the Honorable Ubaba Cyril Ramaphosa, our president. The department had a very successful engagement with traditional leaders and healers who pledged their support in the fight against gender-based violence. Under substance abuse prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation, we have allocated 98.9 million. During the 2021 financial year, we were able to reach 796 service users who were in the shelters for the homeless during lockdown. Some of the service users were referred to our Newlands Park Center as well as Matateni Rehabilitation Center. The department was also able to link some of the service users to skills development programs to assist them to avoid relapsing. We will continue to collaborate with other government departments and civil society organizations to ensure that substance abuse matters are driven through OSS structures and that all stakeholders play their role in the fight against substance abuse as guided by the National Drug Master Plan year 2019-2024. Honorable Chair, as part of our commitment in the last financial year, we will be fast-tracking the construction of treatment centers at Mandeni and Ilembe districts. In Ugu district, we are acquiring and improving an existing facility in Hibadin under Umzumbe local municipality, which was previously utilized as South African National Tuberculosis Center, Kwasanta. Under Program 5, which is community mobilization, which is budgeted 2.5 million, the department will implement the community mobilization framework that will act as a guide to government departments in community mobilization. The framework will ensure that coordination and implementation of integrated government programs for communities are realized, with communities participating and taking charge of their own development and destiny. Under institutional capacity building and support, we have allocated 16.2 million. It is, however, it is very much disturbing, Honorable Chairperson, that we still encounter some challenges in respect of the accountabilities by NPOs, even though the program is taking, of NPOs is taking quarter of our budget. This calls for us to redouble our effort in ensuring that we capacitate these organizations so that they can continue to render this service. It is very crucial to our people. For instance, we are currently investigating allegations of maladministration and ill treatment of service users at Durban and Coastal Mental Health Society. We also embarked upon the Know Your Status campaign to ensure that NPOs renew their registration status to remain compliant. Under poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihood, Honorable Chair, we have allocated 20.4 million. In this financial year, we have established CNTCs across all local municipalities. Just last week, we launched another CNTC at Kwakumbi Traditional Authority in Upongolo, Northern KwaZulu-Natal. We will also pilot a project of linking caregivers of support, of child support grant beneficiaries to economic opportunities in all the districts. This is aimed at creating self-reliance and improvement of livelihoods for the caregivers. Under community-based care research and planning, we have allocated 1.032 million. Following the collaboration of the department with the University of KwaZulu-Natal on the development of metrics of poverty pockets, interventions are being provided to households that have been profiled. Under youth development, which is allocated 56.3 million. To this end, Honorable Chair, a total of 105 young people completed a 6-month full-time training program at Evuma and Estabazini Youth Academies, which is focused on the much-needed vocational and life skills. We will continue to empower more youth through training in youth academies and youth development centers. The department has finalized an integration youth development strategy. Furthermore, the department will ensure that 3 newly constructed youth centers become operational. These centers are situated at Endumo, under Umkhanyakude district, Wentworth under eThekwini Metro, and Boboi under Reinkonyeni. Ngicabanga ukuthi bonke bayalilizela. Women under women development, which is allocated 12.4 million. Women development in the department is mainstreamed in all programs. In the last financial year, Honorable Chair, the department assisted a number of women-led projects with equipment, which includes water pumps, bakery, and catering equipment to organizations such as Sukumani Nenze Women Development Cooperative. We have also funded Ikusasa to clothing and textile women-led NPO. This NPO is producing uniforms for different schools around Dundee and Umsinga. In Herikwala, a group of women, 100 women, from High Impact Development Program were trained in textile and clothing. These women will be linked with cut manufacture and trim, who are suppliers to clothing retailers. Siyaqhuba. Population policy under population policy promotion, which is allocated 4.9 million. During this financial year, Honorable Chairperson, the special focus of this unit will be on developing and implementing the advocacy strategy on population development and mainstreaming of the demographic dividend for inclusion in the integrated development plans of municipalities. Honorable Chairperson, the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Social Development has been allocated 3.6 billion for the financial year 2021 to 2022. The amount proposed for allocation is divided into 5 programs, which is inclusive of compensation of employees, goods and services, transfers, subsidies, and capital assets, which is presented in the following, as follows. Administration, during this year, 2021 to 2022, we have allocated 559.941 million. Kanti social welfare services, 765.144 million rands. Under children and families, 1 billion, 394 million. Under restorative services, 409.7 million. Under development and research, 263.3 million. Isi yonke le mali ingena ku 3.6 billion rands. The baseline in 2021-22 is impacted by the equitable share budget cuts related to both compensation of employees and fiscal consolidation, with reduction of 322.9 million. It's a huge reduction, Honorable Chairperson. An amount of 228.7 million was cut in respect of the compensation of employees. The cut was effected against compensation of employees in all 5 programs. This will have a very negative impact in filling of vacant posts, which the department had planned. The department's budget, Honorable Chair, was further cut by 94.2 million. In respect of the fiscal consolidation cuts, these cuts were effected against transfers and subsidies to non-profit institutions, buildings, and other fixed structures, as well as machinery and equipment. As indicated, Honorable Chairperson, the department is the lifeblood of government in ensuring the social welfare and development of our people. Allow me, Chairperson, to take this opportunity and thank our Honorable Premier Baba Usihle Zikalala and the African National Congress for their continuous support. Our Social Development Portfolio Committee, led by the Chairperson, Honorable Nonzwakazi Swarpolo Ntombela, for their unwavering support. Equally, Chair, I thank the ANC Women's League for their support and ensuring that we stand firm on matters affecting women in general, and more specifically with gender-based violence. Ngithi malibongwe. I thank my family, especially, I want to thank my family, especially Ubaba Khoza, Mkhathini, Nchamanzi, when I was a space, for being a pillar of my strength. The commitment and dedication of the departmental officials under the leadership of Umama HOD, Unelisiwe Vilakazi, is also highly commendable. Without them, this government would not be counting all these successes it has made. Lastly, let me thank the staff in the office of the MEC under UHOM for always giving me support and making it easy for me to execute my duties. Mashabalala, Giabongo. With the kind of support one is getting, there is no doubt, Honorable Chair, that the department will continue to give hope to the hopeless and support the most vulnerable and leave no one behind. Furthermore, we are convinced that the department will reclaim its position of obtaining a clean audit. As we know that there's been a small regression. It is huge, but I want to highlight that the previous year, 2019 to 2020, we received an unqualified audit without findings. But this previous year, sithole an unqualified audit with findings. Let us not forget that COVID-19 is still there and it still kills. Let us protect ourselves and our loved ones from this ruthless killer. In that vein, Chairperson, let us all join our hands in fighting another pandemic, as the President has correctly said so, which is gender-based violence and femicide, currently gripping and ripping our country. If we all join hands, I believe, together, we leaving no one behind, we still gonna succeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Khoza of the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Social Development. Stayed within time. Yeah, very within time. Yeah, thank you very much. So we are now inviting to the podium the Chairperson of the Department of Social Development Portfolio Committee in KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable G.N. Swarpolo Ntombela, You have 10 minutes to present your report, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson and members of the House, I greet you all. Chairperson, I am pleased to present before this House the report of the Portfolio Committee of Social Development. The Portfolio Committee of Social Development met with the department where they presented their reviewed APP and budget to the Portfolio Committee for the 2021-2022. The Portfolio Committee noted that the department had aligned its APP and budget to the National Development Plan, the Provincial Growth and Development Plan, and the Medium-Term Strategic Plan. The 2021-2022 budget. The Department of Social Development is at the core of fostering social cohesion, protection, and transformation. In keeping with the NDP, PGDP, and MTSF priorities on economic growth and job creation. In Program 1, despite the budget cuts, the department intends to contribute in capping unemployment via the EPWP program, as well as the employment of the graduate on internship program. The committee will closely monitor the implementation of these programs to ensure that the department achieves their targets by the end of the financial year. In Program 2, Program 2 houses social welfare services and the social relief of distress. SRD has been identified as one of the key programs the department will use as a vehicle to mitigate adverse socio-economic effects of COVID-19 amongst the poor and the vulnerable. It was understood that the department will continue to provide SRD programs to ensure the provision of care and support to communities in distress. However, the committee was concerned by the fact that no additional budget was allocated in respect of food parcels for COVID-19 relief. This is worrying as we are faced with the third wave of the deadly pandemic. Still on Program 2, the committee noted that the department will continue to increase and advance residential and community-based care and support services to older persons. The committee was informed that the department will render residential and community-based care and support services to persons with disabilities and will maintain an updated database of these facilities. This is in line with the NDP envisages for older people as well as people with disabilities. On Program 3, Children and Families, the committee learned that funding will be put forward continuing and intensifying the social behavioral change programs, including the YOLO program for youth aged 15 to 24 years. Statistics indicate that South Africa is a youthful nation with 28.8% of the population being children between the ages of 0 and 14, and KZN has one of the highest number of children at 21%. Therefore, such programs are encouraging as young people are mostly vulnerable to social ills that could negatively affect their future. On Program 4, Restorative Services, this program houses some programs such as substance abuse and victim empowerment. The high scourge of gender-based violence statistics in our country has necessitated that government prioritize GBV programs. The committee was therefore encouraged that social workers will be part of the department's strategy to strengthen the departmental call center, which responds to all customer care issues, including those gender-based violence. On Program 5, Research and Community and Development, the committee notes with concern the decrease in funding to NPOs. The budget available for NPOs has declined by approximately 17 million when compared to 2020-2021 adjusted budget. The committee is aware of this reduction, they know that it is due to the budget cuts, but it will undoubtedly affect service delivery. The committee will be monitoring this quarterly. The committee has urged the department to ensure that NPOs receiving funds are properly supported and capacitated by the department. The provincial budget of the Social Development Department outlines how the department intends to deploy its financial resources to implement the priorities set forth in the SONA and SOPA. The committee learned that the department, KZN Department of Social Development, has been allocated 3.699 billion in 2021-2022. The committee has noted the following. The committee was alerted to the budget cuts that will be implemented. The committee was made to understand that the budget cuts were affected against compensation of employees in all 5 programs, and that the department will endeavor to only fill critical vacant posts due to the budget cuts. A large share of the budget is allocated towards personnel. It was understood that these funds will continue to be used towards the provision of social work practitioners. The department's social work practitioners are essential professionals who promote social change and are key to the department's service delivery. Committee engagement. The committee was updated on the SRD stimulus that has been reduced from 170 million during COVID allocation down to 18 million for 2020-2021. The department expressed a concern on influx of people to the offices of SRD for SRD vouchers. It was reported with pride that the voucher system, since introduced, had enabled the department to do well. Congratulations to the department. The committee resolves to engage Treasury on this matter, as they were convinced that the department needed more allocation on the SRD. The Portfolio Committee also noted that the department is still having a challenge of the unemployed social workers who have showed their desperation by marching to the offices of DSD. However, the department has a challenge of the budget cuts, and the budget cuts are on the compensation of employees. It was reported that the department had done well on the skills development program through SETA, training 450 to 500 youth amidst the challenges brought about by the COVID-19. The department has reported that they have signed a memorandum of understanding between themselves and Santaco on the matter of gender-based violence. The department was reported to one of the best performing province by the national DSD. The department qualified for a specially designed BMW of 5 that were sponsored by National for well-performing provinces. There was confirmation on the achievement of the department on meeting the 2% filling of posts with people with disabilities. It was reported that they had filled a position with a person with disabilities. The department shared with the committee on its new program, Operation Sigalelekile, which takes services to the people jointly with other departments in the form of door-to-door. The members expressed a wish to get a report on the progress of the movement at the earliest convenience. Adoption of the budget, Chairperson. After the committee noted all the above concerns, the Portfolio Committee supported the 2020-2021 budget on the 13th of April 2020-2021 as follows. African National Congress supported with recommendations. Inkatha Freedom Party supported with recommendations. Economic Freedom Party supported with recommendations. Democratic Party supported with recommendations. Minority Front supported with recommendations. In conclusion, Chairperson, I am pleased to let you know that the Portfolio Committee supports the 2021-2022 budget of the departments of the Department of Social Development. May I take this opportunity to thank the MEC, Honorable N.M. Koza, the HOD, Mrs. Vilagazi, Nelsiwe Vilagazi, and all officials of the department, its agencies, SASSA and NDA. And thank you to Office of Auditor General and Treasury, always cooperative and willing to clarify matters where necessary. May I also extend my sincere appreciation to the members of the Portfolio Committee of Social Development for always being there and being vibrant and raise issues during the committee meetings. We also thank the support staff of the legislature for the work that they do. Together, we can do more. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the Committee on Social Development in our province. We are now starting our debate. The first speaker is coming from the African National Congress. This is Honorable N.R. Majola, and she is allocated 10 minutes. We are requesting you, Majola, to open your video because we understand that you are connected virtually. Thank you, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, Chair of Chairs, Premier and Executives, Honorable Members of the August House, Honorable NEC Nonhlanhla Khoza, Manzimande, and HOD Ms. Nelisiwe Vilakazi, distinguished guests, I greet you all. Chairperson, we meet just few days before the start of the celebrations of the Child Protection Week in the country, which is from the 28th of May to the 4th of June. Child Protection Week unites the country by promoting the rights of the child. As a signatory to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child and the African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child, South Africa has an obligation towards the protection of children from all forms of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. The first legal step towards realizing the rights of the children was the Declaration of the Rights of the Child in 1924, which stated that, open quote, mankind owes to the child best that it had to give, close quote. To give practical expression to this commitment, government introduced policies and programs to promote the rights of the children and to enhance their safety in communities. I raised this in response to one of the incidents where a child was locked alone with the dog and MEC took it upon her shoulders to go and intervene. Chairperson, if we are really an appreciative country, we dare not forget the position of social work versus the era of colonial conquest. The history of South African social work is interwoven with the history of colonization and imperialism. Colonialism, which disrupted and denigrated traditional forms of social relations and social work practice, which grew from this context, was characterized by paternalism and welfare policies that favored whites as the welfare elites. Chairperson, it was true, Umama Charlotte Maxeke, who brought the realities of Africans to life through her work as a probation officer and social worker. She accepted the dual role of probation officer and court welfare officer to Johannesburg's Juvenile Court. Inene, wayibhekelela impilo yomuntu wesifazane, sengathi singathatha apho ashiye khona. Chairperson, as the committee, we have noted the resolutions by Finance Committee to the department, namely a reprioritization from goods and services to compensation of employees, filling of critical vacant posts, food relief efforts during COVID-19, historical underspending of the department's budget. Through our oversight, this will be followed and the responses by the accounting officer will be analyzed. The department is quite aware that as members, we don't massage when it comes to service delivery. Should we identify an element of mingling words, we stop them same time and request proper report. Chairperson, let me start by giving the historical background of the departmental structure as from 2014 medium-term framework, when this was reviewed and reconfigured for a reason. Prior to this current position, the department has three The department has 3 programs, and that did not prove to have better impact to redress social issues of some other areas of concern. Expansion of the programs was a must then, where we started to see 5 programs, namely the administration, social welfare services, children and families, restorative services, development and research. All these are caused by the issues of the past. We could see the gaps as this government, that if we are doing justice to our communities, we must have to make sure that all these areas are coming up emerging to the surface. Further to that, there was also a need to review and reconfigure the organizational structure into 3 tiers, namely the provincial level, the district level, as well as the local level, which is called the service offices and facilities. Kulapho senza khona service delivery, not the province. This was meant to accelerate service delivery in line with the National Development Plan, which is ANC government Bible. Its objective is to define a desired destination, as well as identifying the role different sectors of society need to play in reaching the goal. The main aim is to ensure that all South Africans attain a decent standard of living through elimination of poverty and reduction of inequality. Chairperson, before getting to ranks and cents of the department, it is critical that we register to this August House that as ANC we hold the credibility and integrity of the ruling government in dealing with corruption. Chairperson, in the light of the crisis brought about by the pandemic of COVID-19 that was pronounced in March 2020, as the committee, we declared war against corruption by not leaving any stone unturned. The blanket gate scandal, where 22 million was spent, was deliberated without favor. And what was good about the investigation was commissioned by the Provincial Executive Council together with the Office of Premier. We received the reports that all those affected were suspended. We are not relaxing as members. We want to see justice in all irregular expenditure identified by AG, all of them being accounted for. Chairperson, we all understand that the mandate of the department is to provide social protection services and leads government's efforts to forge partnership through which vulnerable individuals, groups, and communities become capable and active participants in the development of their societies. The National Development Plan acknowledges that it is necessary to address the critical challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality to improve the short and long-term prospects of current and future generations. Hence, we are talking of the social relief, which has been there. It's not a mistake. It is responding to the National Development Plan, our Bible as ANC government. Chairperson, in giving expression to this guiding policy, the department contributes to priority 3, which deals with consolidating the social wage through reliable and quality basic services, as well as to priority 6, contributing to a capable, ethical, and developmental state. The government has invested in response to Program 3 that deals with the children and families, the recognition of a need for a good foundation to learning and capacity development forms part of the government's long-term resolution. The purpose is to rescue inequality and ensuring universal access to ECD services for children aged younger than 5, which remains the key priority for the department. We do understand that ECD will be transferred to Department of Education next financial year, so the funds will only follow then officially. It has been brought to us as a committee that the department for this current year did surrender funds back to the Treasury because it did not have capacity to spend. We will follow that later. We have seen the relationship between the department and health and welfare sector. To be specific, in Umzumbe municipality, where about 54 youth is being trained on ECD modules and get placed in these ECD centers for practicals. The contribution done by SETA is very crucial because all those learners on learnership are getting stipends of 3,000 throughout the period of their training. NEC, please consider those learners as your hub for employment, as the centers that are partial for now get fully fledged centers later. This is part of responding to this priority of developing our think tank for future. We appreciate the ECD grant on MTF, which aimed at increasing access to ECD services and assisting existing conditionally registered partial care facilities to meet set norms and standards. so that they move to full registration status. The initiative of further being innovative by spreading the services of ECD through mobile ECD services to areas that do not have structures currently is highly appreciated. The vastness of our province needs such visionary departmental leadership. Thank you, MEC. There is also allocation of funds to ensure that the monitoring and evaluation, as well as maintenance of those centers in Ilembe, Ugu, and Mkanyet district, it is there. The reason why the department is pushing so hard, it's because of the theme behind this program, which says, Fangasali, which is Sisonga phrase, meaning do not leave them behind. The extra funding is not for fun, but to ensure that norms and standards for this program are met. Chairperson, I wish to appreciate the contribution of Umama Mando Shabalala Msimang, who issued national policy guidelines for victims of sexual offenses when she was Deputy Minister in the Department of Justice in the cabinet of Tatu Nelson Mandela in 1996. We must be proud of that and make sure we fight for what is meant to assist us as women, irrespective of party affiliation. It has become almost an expectation that during the annual Child Protection Week and 16 days of activism, the public gets to know about the worst gruesome acts of violence against women and children. One life lost is one too many. As we are on the third day after the birth of our icon O.R. Tambo, it's relevant to quote his words on the principles on women emancipation when he said, open quote, the mobilization of women is the task not only of women alone or of men alone, but all of us as women. Thank you, Chairperson. As ANC, we support the budget fully. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Even your MEC is clapping hands, enjoying the support that you are giving. The next speaker is Honorable P. Gavenda. Is allocated 10 minutes. He comes from the Inkatha Freedom Party.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. At the outset, let me greet the MEC, all honorable members, all those who have joined us on the virtual platforms, department officials, and support staff. Honorable Chairperson, I'm grateful to the Inkatha Freedom Party for giving me the opportunity of presenting the IFP in this debate. The IFP welcomes a budget of 3.6 billion rand allocated to the Department of Social Development for the 2021-22 financial year. It is unfortunate that due to fiscal consolidation, the department is faced with a budget cut of 163 million rand. The IFP wishes to express its gratitude to the frontline social workers, community caregivers, officials of the department, and SASA for braving the COVID-19 pandemic and serving the people of KwaZulu-Natal. We are aware that some of them have paid the ultimate sacrifice and others have lost loved ones, but they still remain in their workplaces, and the IFP is grateful for their contribution and their sacrifices. Honorable Chairperson, the data from the 2020 World Bank report indicated that in 2019, the bulk of KZN households, that is 38.7%, were categorized as earning less than 54,000 rand per annum. This tells us that we need to be very prudent in how we spend this budget. Therefore, it is of concern to the IFP when we learn of millions of rand that were looted from this department's budget when it came to the procurement of PPEs and blankets. What needs to be red flagged is that such unscrupulous actions must never be allowed to continue, and this can only be achieved if those found guilty are made to repay money that they stole from the poorest of the poor. 9 officials are still on suspension, including the CFO, and they are still being paid to sit at home. It is shocking that one official has 46 charges pending. I want to urge the Honorable MEC Khosa to be on top of this situation and ensure that disciplinary processes are finalized as soon as possible. While it is encouraging to note that 2 companies that were implicated in the procurement of blankets have agreed to repay money that they earned unlawfully, the question that needs to be answered is, how did officials from this department allow these companies to overcharge the department by such huge amounts? The IFP is concerned about the decrease of 1.4% in transfer payments to the NPOs, which amounts to about 16.7 million rand. These NPOs will not be able to provide the full range of services, and we can expect an increase in social distress that will manifest in various forms such as gender-based violence, suicides, prostitution, and substance abuse. It is ironic that as an unintended consequence, this department will be promoting the very social ills that it is charged with preventing. Honorable Chairperson, Program 2 that deals with the core function of social welfare services sees a budget cut of 59.332 million rand effected against the compensation of employees. According to the budget speech by the Honorable MEC for Finance, the department's budget, and I quote, caters for additional funding for the employment of social workers in hotspot areas where there is a high prevalence of gender-based violence, unquote. But in this budget, there is a decrease in funding for compensation of employees, with the department not being able to employ social workers, but it plans to fill posts at higher levels. If we are serious about stemming the scourge of gender-based violence, there is an urgent need for more social workers within communities. I must hasten to point out that there is no shortage of qualified social workers, as there are many that have received bursaries from this department who are still unemployed, and the department has an obligation to employ them. The issue of non-filling of vacant social worker posts cannot be attributed to COVID-related budget cuts, since this issue goes back well before the advent of the virus. Honorable Chairperson, irregular and wasteful expenditure was highlighted by the Auditor General. Irregular expenditure rose from 76.3 million rand in 2018-19 to 100.2 million rand in 2019-20. The AG has attributed irregular, wasteful, and fruitless expenditure to a blatant contravention of supply chain management legislation, the PFMA, and Treasury regulations. Honorable Chairperson, this is unacceptable, as it shines a spotlight on officials who either don't know their role functions or that they don't know what is contained in the legislation that governs their areas of work, or that they are there just to loot the state purse while our people suffer. There has to be more compliance with legislation and rooting out of shortcomings in the supply chain management process. Consequence management must not just be buzzwords, but must be translated into tangible repercussions for those who transgress legislation. Honorable Chairperson, in the absence of the basic income grant, the IFP supports the call for the extension of the 350 Rand Social Relief of Distress grant beyond April 2021. Citizens who have no other form of income have become reliant on the SRD grant, and stopping this will have a devastating impact on their lives. It is of concern to the IFP also that the South African Post Office is closing down more than 20 outlets in KZN. This move will make it very inconvenient for people to collect their grants. The IFP is of the view that Program 5 that deals with development and research needs to be beefed up, needs to be given more funding in order to identify and respond to social challenges as people move from rural areas to towns and cities. Such migration of people lead to social challenges such as provision of housing, job opportunities, and the many attendant social ills that comes with overcrowding. The Socio-Economic Review and Outlook 2021-22 on page 31 states, at the end of 2020, KZN had the highest number of social grant beneficiaries at 4,025,633. Whilst the IFP supports the payment of social grants, we want to caution against moving towards a grant-dependent state. As government, we need to create sustainable work opportunities so that people can become self-sufficient. IFP President Emeritus, His Excellency Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, has always championed the idea of self-help and self-reliance. This model has been very successful in various parts of the country, and I would like to urge the Department of Social Development to explore this further. The IFP welcomes the online application system for disability grants and urge that the administrative processes be fine-tuned in order to make it easier and less frustrating for the disabled to access these grants. The IFP congratulates the Aryan Benevolent Home, ABH as it is known, as it is currently celebrating its centenary year. It is one of the largest and oldest NPOs in the country, catering for over 700 residents, including the elderly, children, and victims of domestic violence. I work closely with the ABH in Chatsworth, and I am aware of the wonderful humanitarian services provided by this institution. And such NPOs are a beacon of hope in areas where government does not have the capacity to assist people who are most vulnerable. I must thank the Honorable MEC Kosa for being hands-on in the campaign against gender-based violence and being visible within communities across the province. This sort of presence by the MEC encourages people to do what is right. The IFP welcomes the planned rehab centers as these will go a long way to assist people to kick the habit and also run awareness campaigns to prevent addiction. It is encouraging to note that the department has converted a government garage in Durban for its use, as it will save the department money on property rental. And as a portfolio committee, we will be visiting this facility in the near future to see how it is functioning. The IFP urges SASSA to take urgent steps to prevent the fraudulent duplication of SASSA cards. I have been dealing with numerous cases of beneficiaries who find their grant monies being withdrawn fraudulently, often in parts of the country far away from where they reside. SASSA needs to explain how these cards are being duplicated so easily, and someone must be held accountable, Honorable Chairperson. The IFP supports the department's planned move from social work to social development and urges that this is achieved swiftly so that its benefits can reach our people. In this regard, I want to close with a quotation from the book, The Truths We Hold, by US Vice President Kamala Harris, wherein she quotes James Baldwin, the US novelist and social activist. I quote, "There is never a time in the future in which we will work out our salvation. The challenge is in the moment. The time is always now," unquote. Honorable Chairperson, let us improve the lives of our people now so that the future will be brighter. The IFP wants to encourage that the department gives greater support and monitors the functioning of NPOs. Since we are providing funding to them, they need to be held accountable, and very often we find that this is not the case. Honorable Chairperson, the IFP supports the budget. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I'm now moving with my speakers list. I'm calling upon Honorable V.R. Mlotshwa from the NFP and is allocated 3 minutes. Are you around, Honorable Mlotshwa? It seems as if he's not available. You will remember the rules. If he pops up late, I will allow him in terms of the rules that I read earlier on. We are continuing with our speakers list. We're inviting a speaker from the MF, which is Honorable S. Thakur Rajbansi. She's allocated 3 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The MF thanks the Honorable MEC for taking action on matters raised. The MF welcomes that the ECD program will now be moving to the Department of Education where it belongs. In 2004, when I pursued the importance of ECD in our schooling system as a seamless integration of education, I was comforted that by 2009 and 2014, grade R and RR became a reality. It was only the home-based creches that still needed to be formalized. However, they were housed in DSD. This Honourable House will bear testimony in the outer years on the impact that this positive move will have on South Africa's HDI level improvement. This move will transfer budgets too. Hence, the MF wants to ensure that another hugely neglected program in DSD has been community development and research, which is critical to our use of evidence-based research, not only for population numbers, but for classifying social issues and their true status with credible data collection. Investing in Program 5 will also assist the various M&E departments for reliable monitoring and evaluation reports. More importantly, clean data will ensure that appropriate, useful indicators are targeted and used in various departmental APPs. The MF was satisfied with the outcomes of the recently held workshop, which has pushed decision-making in terms of current investigations, program shifts, and strengthening. The MF has noted with concern the drop in the NGO budgets, but simultaneously believes that NGOs must be guided as to serving the critical emerging needs of our people. Social equity rather than social equality is a need of the hour. Therefore, the MF recommends that until COVID-19 resolves itself, then our people must be assisted with various types of grants that the government has been given, like the SRD. The Minority Front supports the budget of 3.69 billion for vote 13. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Now I'm continuing with my list of the speakers from the African National Congress. I am inviting Honorable L.B. Ngubane. She is allocated 7 minutes.
Honorable Chairperson Mpazema, Honorable MEC Mamkoza, Honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Chairperson, it is an honor for me to participate in this significant debate of social development, representing the people's movement that aims at delivering a better life for all the South Africans. Honorable Chairperson, violence against women and children continues to affect the well-being of people, families, and communities. In line with the ANC position of building safe communities, we all have a responsibility to support the department in ensuring that social ills and gender-based violence does not find space in our communities. Chairperson, one of our stalwarts, Ubabu Oliver Reginald Tambo, once said, I quote, "A nation that does not take care of its youth has no future," close quotes. Indeed, this word resonates with us. We must take care of our children. We cannot and we must never be a nation that brutalized and killed its own future by molesting children and by doing others inhuman activities. Again, Honorable Chairperson, it is shocking that our capital city, Pietermaritzburg, has become a murder capital in South Africa. Njengoba sizwile ubaba MEC Undosi announce lokho. This is therefore means that we all have a lot of work to do with this department, working jointly with the community safety and liaison. Honorable members, when we speak about families, it is quite important to make our families aware of bullying challenge, as many children are being bullied in schools. This then poses a challenge to all of us to teach our children good values at a young age, which includes differentiate between good and wrong. Honorable Chairperson, the impact of budget cut has impact greater in the department's programming. The difficult faced by our country and the world due to the pandemic has resulted in this department having to respond by reprioritizing its budget. This came after the department's budget was reduced with 231.66 million in respect of both equitable share to provide for provincial response and the conditional grant funding as part of the national government's budget of 807.399 million. The special adjustment estimate was tabled in the legislature in July. The impact of these budget cuts on departmental programs was the cancellation and reduction of some events in terms of the number of attendees. In line with the disaster management regulation, and numerous programs or events had to be held virtually due to COVID-19 regulation, as alluded by our MEC. Honorable Chairperson, the committee has a great concern about the high number of unemployed of social workers, which is because of the inadequate budget and budget cuts. It is even worse to see a qualified social worker sitting at home doing nothing, and some of them bebelekelela umnyango ukuthi bathole imfundo ngama-bursaries. Chairperson uke wangena kukhona ukuthi kubuhlungu ukubona abantwana bethu nodadewethu be-unemployed sebeza bezoshaya itoto phambi kweminyango social development. We urge uTreasurer to intervene and assist the department by adding funds to the department to, amongst other things, employ more social workers. Budget cuts has also affected the compensation of employees. Sengvala, honorable members. Honorable Chair, Simbutho wesizwe, we support the department's budget, although incane ayisenelisi lokho kade sifisa ukwenza njengomnyango ukuze sishintshe impilo zabantu zibe ngcono. Ukusiza umnyango sizosiza umnyango sileli committee ngokubamba iqhaza ekwenzeni ama-oversight kuzo zonke lezi inhlelo umnyango azishilo ukuthi uzozenza, and also to ensure the department to transform from social welfare to social developmental state njengoba ikuyi-theme and kuyi-mission ye-department. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Honorable members, I have to inform you that we received a message from one of our colleagues, Honorable Rabe. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. She has got a serious family emergency affecting one of her children. So in terms of the rules of this sitting, we have received the name of Honorable Rogers, who will be presenting her speech. Now we hope the child will recover speedily. Honorable Rogers, you are allocated 12 minutes, my lead. No, you won't. It doesn't. It belongs to the Finance Portfolio Committee.
Diabule Lalawam. Perhaps on a lighter note, let me say that I'm feeling a little bit intimidated in this house today when the prettier agenda is outnumbering you and I, Chairperson. But thank you for allowing me to present this on behalf of Honorable Rabe. I'd like to start off by quoting Israel Ayevo, and he said, and I quote, "Never be afraid to speak your mind on relevant issues. Good leaders stand for relevance, and they are never afraid to face the facts head on. Bad leaders see the problems, close their eyes, and do something else," unquote. I cannot help but feel this is exactly what's happening in KwaZulu-Natal and in South Africa today. The ANC government is not a capable state and is also an unethical state. This is demonstrated daily by millions of people who are yearning for a hand up, not a handout. Yet they fall deeper and deeper into despair. I wish I could stand here and praise the MEC and her department, but it's the second year that she's led DSD, and it's the second year that she's failed. In fact, the failure is so bad under her leadership that the department has regressed in its last audit. The MEC cannot blame anyone but herself. In fact, the Auditor General provided the reasoning for the regression as being a lack of leadership and accountability. Is this not an indictment on the department and yourself, MEC? It's become the norm for government to blame all the missed targets on COVID. That ship has sailed. It's amazing how the focus has always shifted away from the fraud and corruption that has beseeched the Department of Social Development to such a large degree since the MEC's appointment, and yet she still stays where she is. Premier, I must ask, why is this? The MEC and her department has seen itself in the media for the wrong reasons over the past year or so. Eventually, when the roses were sniffed, it was a little too late, and the department now finds itself in the throes of a scandal that is an embarrassment to say the least, and yet the sense out there is that she couldn't care less and indeed untouchable. To date, the DSD Portfolio Committee awaits the outcome of the disciplinary process that were finally instituted when the proverbial hit the fan. Interestingly enough, the department claims to have provided a total of 71,179 SDR to beneficiaries, as well as distributed a total of 85,724 food vouchers. The department couldn't achieve this in the whole of last year when our communities were starving and at their wits' end, but suddenly managed to do this before the financial year end. How? I understand that the budget cuts have had a large impact on all departments, but I have to question the following. Substance abuse, prevention and rehabilitation has seen a massive increase this year, but there has been a large decrease in crime prevention and support, as well as victim empowerment. I don't know about you, but given the status of gender-based violence in our province and country, one would think that prevention is better than cure. There isn't a day that goes by that we are not reading about the abuse of our children, rape, and mutilation. To make matters worse, childcare and protection is taking a 52.8 million rand hit. What does our province have to say? As far back as one can remember, the department has failed to fill vacant posts, especially high-level posts, and this has led to two major failings. One, the budget prioritized for filling of these vacancies has been taken away from the department, and two, the department is unable to function as it's mandated to do so. The department has a projected 114 vacancies, most of which of those need to ensure the smooth functioning of the department. How long will it take to realize that things will continually fall apart? If you compare it to an engine, how do you expect the car to keep going if you don't have the pistons, you don't have the injectors, you don't have the spark plugs and the like? It's surely common sense. So let's talk facts and figures here, shall we? In the 2018-19 financial year, the department underspent by 14.4 million. This is apparently attributed to the delays in filling vacant posts, as well as underspending of the procurement disaster relief recovery grant. In the 2019-20 financial year, the department underspent by 33.8 million. As raised before, this was due to delays in filling vacant posts, as well as the delays in procuring state vehicles. In the 2020-21 financial year, the department is anticipating an underspend of 7.4 million. This is apparently attributed to the low spending on the infrastructure budget. This infuriates me, actually. Last week, I did an oversight visit of the Durban and Coastal Mental Health Facility in Sherwood. The hostel itself has been standing and operating for over 80 years. Not only has it never been maintained, it still has asbestos roofs, faulty wiring, urine-soaked beds, no food, no staff, broken cupboards, one working geyser for 80 residents, and the list goes on. Due to the inefficiency of this government, the premises is maintained by the residents. Families, food is sponsored and locked away, otherwise it's stolen by the disgruntled staff that haven't been paid in weeks. Cooking is done by a concerned group of family, and so it goes on. The reason I raise this issue, Chairperson, is because there are so few facilities in KwaZulu-Natal of this nature that one would expect the department to ensure that the very few there are taken care of and maintained. Sadly to say, this is not the case, as with many other facilities. How long will you allow this to continue under your watch? How long will the department take to sort out NPOs that are non-compliant, and how long will the department take to look after the most vulnerable of society? So once again, there's little hope that the department will ever be able to spend its budget as it says it will. And as always, one target is reached and three more are failed. One last thing. I recall asking the department a few times as to why the office of the MEC has received an increase, while every other program has been affected negatively in terms of administration. And as usual, my questions have fallen on deaf ears. Rest assured, though, I'll be watching this particular budget allocation very closely. In closing, I'd like to quote the Democratic Alliance federal leader, John Steenhuisen, who said, and I quote, "Imagine a government that stood with the people. Perhaps instead of Tumamina, our president should have used his motto, Nyahamba Nawe. Because isn't that what we need? A government that walks with us," close quote. Perhaps the MEC and her department need to be reminded of the vision and mission that they've subscribed to. The vision of the Department of Social Development is a caring and self-reliant society, and the department's mission is to transform our society by building conscious and capable citizens through the provisions of integrated social development services. All I can say is thank goodness I didn't hold my breath last year. If last year was anything to go by, of course. Am I surprised? No. Am I disappointed? Yes. Diabuler, mhlalo wami.
Bazozonda wena mngani wami. Honorable members, we are moving on with our program. We are going to ATP. Honorable M.E. Pagati, Reverend, you are invited for 3 minutes. Yeah, for 3 minutes, Reverend Pagati. No. I explained whose speech it is. Don't target my man. I explained, it's your colleague in DSD that is fighting, and he had to present it in terms of the rules. Honorable Pagate, are you around? So it seems as if the Reverend is not around. We move on to Honorable Bishop Mangele for 3 minutes from the ACDP. My Bishop, it seems as if he's not around. We want to move to the Speaker from the ANC, Honorable H.S. Dlamini. She's allocated 7 minutes. Please, Mfethu, switch on your video.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable members, Honorable MEC, today marks an important day as members of this committee are afforded this opportunity to have this budget vote debate of the Department of Social Development. This department is one of the most important strategic ones as it tasked with fighting poverty and development of ordinary people, among others. This being the year of Charlotte Maxeke, one must take this opportunity to commend the MEC and the committed departmental officials for some of the work they are doing in transforming the lives of the people on the ground. I would like to single out the conversion of KwaSwaimane Daycare Center into fully fledged residential facility. It would be remembered that KwaSwaimane was one of the areas that recorded a high and increasing number of abuse of elderly people. It is therefore encouraging to see the response of government, which will go a long way in providing dignity of our senior citizens. Chairperson, the COVID-19 pandemic, whose first case was reported in South Africa just a year ago, brought about a lot of changes in our society. To mitigate its impact, government had to declare a state of disaster, resulting in the implementation of the hard lockdown. Unfortunately, a lot of people were in despair as they lost sources of income and were thrown into poverty. It is commendable that the department was active on the ground, providing social relief of distress and other services. The department did not stop there, but introduced the hybrid model in order to fast-track the delivery of the services to the people, also limiting chances of the spread of COVID-19. However, we note the allegation of corruption and maladministration. As to some, the declaration of the state of disaster opened up opportunity to embezzle public funds in that vein. We commend the government under the leadership of Honorable Premier Mr. Sihlezi Kalala and MEC Khoza to swiftly instituting the investigation into such allegations and allowing law enforcement agents to do their work. It is commendable that some companies have been ordered by the Special Investigating Unit, SIU, Tribunal to pay back some of monies they received illegally. We also commend the internal investigation and disciplinary processes that are still underway into the conduct of some of the officials during the process. We would like these processes to be expedited so that those who are found to have contravened the law duly sanctioned. One is also pleased with the introduction of the Community Nutrition Development Centers, which continues to offer nutritious meals to those who are too poor to afford decent food. It is also appreciated that beneficiaries are linked to economic opportunities as an exit strategy. These types of interventions are needed even more during these trying times of our economy. Chairperson, the unemployment rate in South Africa is now sitting at 32.5%, with young people being the most affected. Some of the biggest contributors of these rising numbers is lack of skills. Of course, COVID-19 has also been a dampener in the efforts of boost our economy and create jobs. Through its Youth Development Academy program, the department has managed to continue to provide much needed skills to vulnerable young people coming from poverty-stricken homes and those in conflict with the law. We also commend its efforts to ensure that this program is expanded to the entire province. Chairperson, reports of gender-based violence, which are becoming a daily occurrence, are undermining the country's efforts to ensure that we are a country that is serious about protection of vulnerable groups and human rights. Again, the hard lockdown has pointed us new emerging GBV trends. We appreciate the work being done by the department in providing psychosocial support in victims and shelter through Tutuzela centers and places of safety. It is also commendable that the MEC and the department are taking these issues serious by stepping up efforts to raise awareness on GBV through multimedia. This is one strategy we cannot afford to lose. Chairperson, as members, we will and we should continue to play our oversight role and to ensure that this department fulfills its mandate. We will not turn a blind eye to ask of maladministration and corruption. However, we will also praise the department when it does well, despite all challenges that the department is faced with. The good work it is doing on the ground is being noticed. Imisebenzi iyabonakala. ANC iyasamukela isabelo zimali. Nakube incane ke Chairperson. Ngiyabonga.
Wincane mfowethu. Thank you mfowethu. The next one is from the EFF, Honorable GF Mchali, allocated 9 minutes, but I was reliably informed that they sent an apology that they would not be able to partake in this debate. So, but I wanted to be sure in case there was a change of mind. Thank you very much, honorable members. We are moving on. We are now inviting the Speaker from the African National Congress, Honorable NPF Mavuso Umhlolomkhulu, for 8 minutes. Awusanibona MEC omngani wami wena ukhona sengizwa ngezwi. Welcome to this debate. Honorable Mavuso.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, Honorable Members, Honorable MEC, Honorable Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Chair, let me start and be upfront to say that we need to have a debate and also speak to what we mean by a capable state. And I believe, Chair, that is a matter for another day. Also, Chair, I want to indicate that as a portfolio committee, we do have portfolio committee meetings, oversights, where the department speaks frankly to the challenges that the department faces, and we forward our recommendations at the portfolio committee. I just want to indicate that, Chair, before I go to my speech, and the latest being the workshop, a 2-day workshop that we had at Drakensberg, where the department also spoke to the investigations and the progress reports thereof. Honorable Chairperson, we meet today on Thursday, the 20th of May, 2021, on a day that the world is celebrating the 10th anniversary of the Global Accessibility Awareness Day, popularly known as GAD. GAD advocates for people with disabilities to have access and experience web-based services. In a world where almost everything is becoming digitalized, it is essential, Chair, that we work towards removing barriers that impede people with disabilities in realizing their truest potential. We applaud the department for leading by example in the employment of people with disabilities. The 54th ANC National Conference resolution committed to ensuring a radical socio-economic transformation aimed at ending oppression, poverty, and inequality, and create a society in which all belong, live freely, and prosper. This call must be heeded too, even in times where the economy of the world and that of our country is not stable. In the 2021-22 budget, we learned that the department had 71 performance indicators in the annual performance plan, with an increase of 23 performance indicators that were introduced in this financial year. It is commendable that the department in such difficult times can forge forward and ensure that service delivery is not compromised. This is an indication that the department really tried to follow and implement the call from Provincial Treasury of keeping budget cuts against service delivery areas as low as possible. The department tried to ensure that performance indicators across all 5 programs in the department were increased. The economic realities exacerbated by this global pandemic unfortunately cannot be escaped. All departments have had to effect budget cuts, and social development was no exception. Mostly budget cuts in the department were effected against programs 2 to 5 on compensation of employees. Honorable Chairperson, the National Development Plan emphasizes that, I quote, "It is imperative to prioritize vulnerable people, especially those living with high levels of poverty," unquote. In efforts to improve the lives of South Africans, and especially the people of this province of KwaZulu-Natal, the department introduced new performance indicators tailor-made for this province, outside of the prescribed sector indicators. The department has indicated that implementing these targets will not be a challenge, as these targets do not require additional budget. Moreover, these targets are aimed at improving the department's business processes and efficiency. Our government, led by the African National Congress, understands, Honorable Chairperson, that it will not be able to achieve desired transformation and improve the lives of the people without collaborating and partnering with various stakeholders. The non-profit organizations are an integral partner and stakeholder for the department to ensure that service delivery is fast-tracked. It is no coincidence that a third of the department's budget is allocated to the NPOs across all programs in the department. On HIV and AIDS programs, Chairperson, the statistics indicates that South Africa has 7.8 million, which is 13% of the population of the people living with HIV and AIDS. Statistics further indicates that over a fifth of South African women in their reproductive ages between 15 and 49 years are HIV positive. 5.34% of young people between the ages of 15 to 24 years are HIV positive. These statistics show that there is still a need for our government to prioritize HIV and AIDS programs. We applaud the department for scaling up and intensifying the rollout of the social and behavior change programs amidst this pandemic, as it is clear that women and the youth are still the mostly affected group. Honorable Chairperson, the Portfolio Committee has noted that the department's allocation for the social sector EPWP incentive grant for provinces has been reduced from 48 million in 2020-21 to 42 million in 2021-22. We are fully agreed with the Finance Portfolio Committee resolution that says that the accounting officer must provide a report by the 30th of June 2021, giving reasons for the significant reduction of the department's social sector EPWP incentive grant for provinces allocation in 2021-22. In closing, Honorable Chairperson, we urge everyone that has elderly people in their homes to assist and register them for the COVID-19 vaccine. It is through vaccination that we can win this fight against this pandemic. The ANC, Honorable Chair, supports the budget, though we've noticed that the allocation is too little for the women as opposed to the youth. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member.
Yeah.
We are now inviting the Speaker from the IFP, Honorable N.J. Nkwanyana. She is allocated 5 minutes. Nkwanyana.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable Chair, Honorable MEC, my colleagues, I greet you all this afternoon. Chairperson, as my colleague has alluded before, we also support the budget as an IFP. But we are concerned about the lapses in supply chain management and internal controls that has led to millions of rand looted from this department's budget when it comes to the procurement of 48,000 blankets worth 22 million for the homeless. By that time, it was revealed that only 4,982 blankets that were distributed out of 48,000 blankets procured, and over 43,000 blankets were allegedly in unsafe storage somewhere. Can Honorable MEC Chairperson tell us what happened to the remaining blankets? Mhlonishwa uNgqongqoshe angasenzela yini umusa ukuthi asithathe ayosikhombisa bonke abantu abahlala emgwaqeni abahlomula ngalezi ngubo, okushaqisayo ukuthi asikaze sibone izithombe zalezo zingubo okuthiwa zathengwa ngetshe lemali yabakhokhi bentela. Chairperson, I will not go into details about this issue since a forensic investigation has taken place and disciplinary action is being instituted against the officials concerned. What needs to be red flagged, though, is that such unscrupulous actions must never be allowed to happen again, and this can not only be achieved if those found guilty are made to repay the money that they stole from the poorest of the poor in our province. It is high time that those who are corrupt are brought to book. The IFP is concerned about the money spent to officials on suspension with full pay. It is also important that the department follows up with the recovery of money from the one official who resigned and was paid his benefits before the report of forensic audit was released. We call on the department to ensure that the companies under investigation are immediately blacklisted from doing business with any provincial government departments pending the outcome of the probe, and all staff who are under investigation are not redeployed to the other areas of the provincial government, particularly into areas of supply chain. The IFP remains committed to fighting for a corruption-free KZN, where money that is meant for the people is spent on the people rather than only benefiting a select few. In areas where government institutions operate with inadequate staff, complaints of poor service delivery are inevitable from communities. But yet we have unemployed qualified social workers who are sitting at home waiting to be employed. The department should not be focusing on filling high-level posts when social workers are required on the ground working with the communities. The drug problem continues to worsen from year to year. Therefore, the IFP calls for more action on drug trade in the province. Government must provide visible deterrence and public reassurance through the consistent punishment of drug dealers and suppliers and the disruption of their markets. Lastly, Chairperson, amid all the planning and vaccination, the impact of the spread of COVID-19 among homeless people is not being widely discussed. It is nearly impossible for homeless people to maintain social distance and comply with hygiene requirements. It should therefore be of special concern to local authorities to make informed submission on the number and whereabouts of homeless people within municipalities. Many homeless people who did not stay in shelters might sleep in abandoned buildings, bus stations, or even shop fronts. These are places where an exposed person could contaminate their surroundings, creating opportunities for spreading the infection to others. This is a calamity that needs to be addressed with agency. Unnecessary spreading of the virus can be avoided with careful planning and proper intervention. Chairperson, the IFP challenges government, in particular the Department of Health and Social Development, to inform the public what plans have been put in place to ensure homeless people are given due consideration in planning the rollout of the vaccine. Lastly, Chairperson, to my conclusion, I just want to emphasize what has been said by the MEC in his address. We must go out
Your
fully
time is
as
up,
members.
Honorable Member.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson. As IFP, we support the budget.
Thank you very much. The last speaker in my list is from the African National Congress. That is Honorable P.H. Mbatacele, and she is allocated 10 minutes. Honorable Shandu, Mashandu, Mashandu, Mtia.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Chairperson, I think we all know that the DA will not see anything good from the government, which is led by the black people. We all know that. For the past 27 years, the ANC-led government is correcting the wrongdoings of the past, which was done by the apartheid government. The ANC-led government, we all know that the ANC-led government has developed a number of policies to address the growth of the economy of the country, creating jobs, and improve society quality of life by giving the people the service delivery. Chair, the people of South Africa, they've shown us that they still trust the African National Congress and the ANC-led government. Sibonile ukhetho by-elections kusukela ngonyaka ophelile ukuthi the ANC has won the majority of wards throughout the country. Lokho ke kusho ukuthi abantu basayathemba i-ANC. I-DA ayehlisa umoya. Angeke sifike isikhathi sokuthi babuyele babe ku-government. ANC iyohlala ikuhulumeni futhi inakekele impilo zabantu. Chairperson, i-IFP, if he's talking about blanket abanikezwa abantu aba-homeless, I think umama unkwanyana ngoba bantu abakhulele emakhaya sonke wazi kahle phela ukuthi abantu aba-homeless angithi basuke bengabetheliwe ngey'bhikili lapha bakhona. I think she's unfair if ethu MEC akayobakhomba. It might happen ukuthi abasekho lapha bakade bekhona ngaleso sikhathi. I think i-request yakhe i-unfair to the MEC at this stage, Chairperson. Honorable Chair, Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, Premier and the Executive, honorable members, Secretary of the Legislature and the staff. Chairperson, allow me to start by thanking Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Swartboy Ntombela, for presenting the Social Development Portfolio Committee report very well. Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, on behalf of the African National Congress, I would like to add my voice in welcoming the many positive pronouncements made by the MEC, Honorable Manzimande Khoza, during her presentation on behalf of the Department of Social Development of the Vote 13 budget before the House. What struck me the most was the fact that the Department of Social Development, led by MEC Khoza, has its fingers on the pulse of real issues that are the needs of our communities. Chairperson, 2021-22 budget of social developments reacts to the needs of the communities we serve. The ANC-led government has an obligation to ensure that the protection of the vulnerable people, the youth, elderly people, and people with disability, the department will ensure that the most vulnerable, which is the working class, is placed first with the less resources the department have. Honorable Chair, South Africa Constitution states that, I quote, "South Africa belongs to all who live in it. We are united in our diversity," close quote. The ANC congratulates the department for compliance of employment of 2.4% of people with disability. Chair, despite the budget cut of 15 million in 2021-22, the department plans to continue, intensify, and expand various care and support services to persons with disability. This includes awareness program on the right of people with disability, prevention programs for people with albinism across all districts, and the expansion of community-based rehabilitation programs in Ilembe district over the 2021-22 MTF. We are also noting the number of NPOs in all districts that are getting support from the Department of Social Development. Services to the old persons. The ANC commend the MEC and the department for continuously servicing the older persons of KwaZulu-Natal. The MEC engaged dialogue with the community of KwaSwaimani under Umshwathi municipality to address one of their concerns, which was the rape of constant abuse of older persons. Under social development, all persons will continue to receive community-based care and support services in 353 services centers in KwaZulu-Natal. Honorable Chairperson, investing to women is an investment to the whole nation. Women development remains one of the department's key priorities, targeting vulnerable and marginalized women such as unemployed women who are heads of families, widows without income, foster parents, and those women who fall outside the social security bracket. 23,341 women were reached through women's socio-economic empowerment programs. 18,900 women from led NPOs were ported with financial management, understanding of service level agreement and registration. The allocation in the MTF provide for reinvestment in 4 flagship projects focused on vegetable production, bakeries, hospitalities in Umgungundlovu, Ilembe and Utukela district. Honorable Chair, ANC-led government has declared year 2021 as the year to celebrate 150 years of Mamushalot Maklege. The activist of Mamushalot Maklege, the activist and advocate for women's rights in South Africa. She was honored as Mother of Black Freedom. I'm sure that on behalf of the African National Congress, she is happily singing a song, Watinta Bafaze, Watinta Mbogodo, when the department led by two women respectively prioritize the investment on women empowerment. Malibongwe. Poverty alleviation and sustainable livelihood. ANC-led government has identified 5 pillars of anti-poverty and anti-inequality programs which are developing micro-policy stability, meeting basic needs, human resource and job creation. Therefore, the Department of Social Development is making a contribution towards jobs creation through the extended public works, establishment, community nutrition, Chairperson. On social reliefs, inani elingu 137,195 wama-voucher, wanikezelwa kubantu abahluphekile KwaZulu Natali, nakuba-ke ukwehlisa kwemali ibe ku 18.773 million kunale ebitholwa umnyango ngonyaka wezimali ka-2019-2021 kuzoba nazo inselelo ezinkulu Chair. In conclusion, Chairperson, the ANC condemned the killing of women and children in Gaza at Palestine by Israel. ANC 54th Conference resolved that on contribution to building a better Africa and better world, unanimously resolved to direct South African government to immediately and unconditionally downgrade the South African embassy in Israel to a liaison officer. Chairperson, any child is my child. The ANC support the budget.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. While the official is still sanitizing the mic, we are inviting Honorable Oza to respond to this debate, and she has got 20 minutes. Funa more than 20, there's 50 over where.
I had some minutes left in my first speech, Chairperson, so I'm reclaiming what is mine. Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you for all honorable members who had made some meaningful contribution to this debate. Your contribution, honorable members, will enrich our operations as the department, especially, Honorable Chairperson, your emphasis on the negative impact the budget cuts will have continuously to our people's lives. It is a concern. As a department, we need to reprioritize so as to meet as a mitigation to what we are faced with, especially on SRD provision to our people and the employment of social workers. I would like to concur with you, Chairperson. Honorable Majola, to highlight the Child Protection Week as guided by the Act 38 of Child Protection Act. Yes, we should be on toes, especially as communities, in terms of child protection. We cannot allow the society which neglects its own children. At some point, the MEC was in media, heard and seen opening a case against women, against parents who have neglected their children. Let us come together as society to make sure that siyabambisana ekukhuliseni abantwana. It is our responsibility. Honorable Majola, as you highlight the plans or the effort by Umama Charlotte Maxeke, I want to, standing here, I want to concur with you, Honorable Majola. We need to highlight the plight of women. And in highlighting that, Honorable Majola, we have plans as a department to rename government garage, as we'll be opening it, to rename it under Umama Charlotte Maxeke. And the department is in a process to do so. And we have even made some effort to contact ifamily yakhe Umama Charlotte Maxeke. So she was a social worker in action. Honorable Chairperson, I want to respond to Honorable Ugavenda on while officials are seated at home, the suspended officials, but do get their funds. It is their right. As Chairperson for Finance, Honorable Chair, you know that we, as a department, we would be violating their rights if we are not giving what is due to them until the process is finished. Under the irregular expenditure to Honorable Governor and Honorable Nkwanyana, yes, we concur. Ngifuna ukisho ngigcizelela la ngesizulu. There was no need during a procurement of blankets for ukuthi sibe nabasebenzi abathatha i-shortcut. It was uncalled for. The department should have followed correct procurement processes, and that was supposed to be done. Honorable Nkwanyana, as the portfolio committee, you said the MEC should strengthen internal controls. That is why, standing here, Honorable Chairperson, in strengthening those internal controls, we made sure that we put in place bid committees. We revived that there should be bid committees, especially the bid specification committee, the bid evaluation committee, and the bid adjudication committee for the smooth processes in terms of dealing with SCM processes. We were advised as the department to ensure that we strengthen SCM processes. And of course, Honorable Chairperson, standing in front of you, we have employed the SCM director with the hope that that is the turnaround strategy we are coming up with. So we concur with what you are raising, honorable members. To Honorable, the Honorable Shaw Madlamini, yes, the Tutuzela care centers are there, but they are not enough. And we cannot turn a blind eye to the maladministration which is happening in the department, as Honorable Governor has said. Yes, Honorable Rajbansi, decision-making should be clear in terms of the investigations, a number of investigations which are in the department. But the report I've just received, Honorable Chairperson, is that the department is committed to deal with all the investigations. And in the next meeting of the Portfolio Committee, we are going to give you the way forward. And Honorable Rajbansi, I want to concur with you. Our communities need to be assisted by the department continuously. Honorable Ngubane, you did put an emphasis on families. Yes, children development should be strengthened just to curb that scourge of bullying, Honorable Ngubane. And furthermore, as supporting you, I want to say we should focus in schools because that's where this bullying happens. But I understand that there are a lot of people who say at least schools should have social workers. We can support that as the department because it is not our responsibility only as social development to employ social workers, but police, SAPS, there should be a social worker to ensure that statements are taken correctly for gender-based violence. And at schools, to curb the scourge of gender-based violence, there should be trained, well-trained social workers. So it's not our responsibility alone as this social development. Yes, Honorable Ngubane and Honorable Hlo, the budget we have is far too less. With the budgets we have, in fact, we feel these budget cuts. We were not able to do what we were supposed to do. And moving forward, the department will be crippled. Coming to Honorable Mavuso, yes, our workshop in Drakensberg was very much fruitful. The portfolio committee was taken through with a number of programs in the departments. And the NPO's support is very much needed. And yes, it is true, we need to do whatever it takes to support HIV and AIDS individuals, affected individuals. And the statistics are rising for HIV and AIDS. It shows that we need to do more, especially starting from the early age. Let us not wait, as we have just introduced the CHOMI programs and the YOLO program. The YOLO program is something which says you only live once. You have one life. Just be responsible about your life. Take care of yourself and try to use protection in whatever you are doing. I want to, Honorable Phumzile Mbathacele, thank you so much. In fact, at all times, you rise and try to educate other members, especially who are seated in the other desk. I don't want to go far, but early childhood development is a program we will work together with the portfolio committee, especially in ensuring that early childhood development is taken forward. We have introduced the mobile ECD. In our mobile ECD, Honorable Mbatacele, we have introduced the 2 little toilets in the mobile ECD itself. We have a shower, 1 shower, because babuye bazimoshela abantwana abancane. It is inside the mobile ECD. We also have a fully fledged kitchen with a stove, with everything. We have a fridge, so that impilo zabantwana bethu zibe ngcono kakhulu. Sifisa ukuthi umntwana osuka emakhaya, because ama mobile ECDs are meant to attend abantwana abasuka emakhaya, the poorest of the poor, are meant to deal with abantwana bama farm workers. They should be introduced to an equal education. That's what our government is doing. It is unfortunate that the honorable members like Honorable Rabe do not see that. They just turn a blind eye. They don't want, as much as they are members of the portfolio committee, they don't want to appreciate the achievements of the departments. Yes, I want to agree with you, Honorable Mbatacele, that once she see, Honorable Rabe see a woman, mainly the black woman in front of her, she gets that. She gets into that. That is a disease. It is called a white superiority complex, whereby she thinks she is superior just because they were able to chase away people like Lindiwe Mazibuko. As of now, they are dealing with Abombali, one of our own. They are trying by all means, because they cannot stand to be led by a black woman. It is unfortunate. We are here, honorable members, and we are here to stay, even though it cannot be Umama Unonhlanhla Khoza in front of her. But black people are here in numbers, and they are here to stay. I want to appreciate the genuine concerns raised by the Honorable Rabe. We cannot, as a department, we cannot just brush off genuine criticism. We have no fear, no favor to be held accountable. But we want Honorable Rabe, when making her points, to drop that madam and servant approach. We understand it was drilled, it is entrenched in the DA, it is in their DNA. So, Honorable Chair, Honorable Rabe seemed to have no idea about the department responsibilities. We acknowledge and respect that at some point, when we were in a workshop, she once humbled herself, indicating the little understanding of the operations of the department she has. Looking at that, we should take her through and try to educate her. I want to come to something having been raised by more members. The increase of budget, which is of the MEC. This sub-program, it is due to the provision for staff that were incorrectly linked under corporate management services sub-program. as well as funding of EOSS. That's why kune increase. EOSS as all champions of different departments, of different districts. There should be a funding which supports all MECs, as you know very well, Honorable Chairperson, as the Chairperson of Finance Committee. So no wonder we have that. I want to go further in saying, as KwaZulu-Natal, we still give ourselves a pat at the back in terms of the 350 provision to our people. We did very well. In fact, we are number 1 in South Africa. We are followed by Gauteng. The correct figures can tell you. In fact, at some point, Honorable Chairperson, we did present these figures. We are number 1 in the whole South Africa in terms of food distribution. Coming to food distribution in the form of SRD, I want to tell you, Chairperson, we are number 1 in South Africa in terms of distribution of SRD. I wonder where the Honorable Rabbe stays. Of course, I should not wonder, because they don't stay where people, the most vulnerable, are. The other one, the transfers which are made to NPOs. The NPOs, Honorable Chairperson, always in the speech of the Honorable Rabbe, tells you that as much as we do, about 1/3 of our departmental budget goes to support of the NPOs. But the Honorable Member, I urge you, Honorable Rabbe, be on our side. Let us make all NPOs accountable. All NPOs should account on government funds. No matter the white-led NPO, the black-led NPO, any NPO. So it is unfortunate that all along the NPOs have been the milking cow for some white individuals. But as of now, sikalelekile, we are going to minimize and open doors for everyone in terms of NPOs. For Honorable Chairperson, I want to thank the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, together with the honorable members of the SCOPA and Finance Committee for your continuous support. We highly appreciate your support, and with your support, we are going to do wonders as this department. I thank you.
I got intimidated when the MEC demanded her almost 10 minutes that she saved earlier on. So that I avoid the conflict, I chose not to stop her. Yeah, I chose it. I don't like conflict these days. I want to be a council on the 27th of October so that you all vote for me. Now, honorable members, thank you very much. We also want to thank the officials of the Department of Social Development in KwaZulu-Natal and the officials of the legislature, our friends from media, as well as our people who voted for us, who are part of this budget debate. So we wanted to indicate that we have come to an end of this debate of vote number 13, the Department of Social Development of KwaZulu-Natal. So we want to send one message to some of us who are still working, that the budget debates are continuing tomorrow in the same format of today. We are requesting honorable members to visit their programs so that they will join where their parties are expecting them to join. And these budget debates are also starting at 9 o'clock tomorrow. So we wish you all safe journey to your own places. Niphephe, nihambe kahle, nibe nenhliziyo enhle njengalo baba lo onika u-MEC wonke ama-minute akhe akade wakhalela. Thank you very much.
Siyabonga sihlalo mfowethu.
Very nice.